Good morning, students. This is a short presentation on the organization of bacterial chromosome and transposable genetic elements. And you know that bacterial, when we think of bacteria, it's small, such a minute organism. And if you think of the DNA present in it, it can, if you stretch the bacterial chromosome, it can go up to 1 millimeter long, and that is like 1,000 times the length of the cell. It's very important, and a lot of research is going on into how this long stretch of DNA, the DNA polymer, is compacted into such a minute structure. So before going to the minute structure, we'll just see about how big the or the what is the size of the bacterial genome. The size of the bacterial genome varies. The maximum length of bacterial genome sequence is 13 megabase pairs. You have the largest genome containing organism. Basically, they are soil bacteria because they have to survive in such environment. They have typical genes which are present, and you have the smallest genomes also, which consist of 6 lakh base pairs of uh, Buchneria, which are present in aphids, or Mycoplasma, which are like 5 lakh base pair, which is obligate parasites of epithelial cells of urinary genetic tracts. And you have other organisms also, which are like mesophilic organisms, which are like found everywhere, like E. coli, which I have not mentioned here, which is like 4639 kilobase pairs. So the type of genome also is varied. Some have linear genomes, some have circular genomes. Like you have circular genome of Bacillus subtilis, you have linear genome in Borrelia bacteria. Campylobacterium has a certain species have circular, and then Escherichia coli containing 4,700 kilobase pairs of kilobase pairs. It is circular in genome. So most of this organization of the bacterial chromosome, I'm concentrating on E. coli, how it is done in E. coli, and little bit variants of also will be mentioned. So the organization, if you think, if you compare these bacteria as a prokaryotic and a eukaryotic cell, you do not have the nuclear membrane, which demarks specifically the compact nucleus, which contains all the chromosome and the genetic material. That is the genetic material, and the cytoplasm as a distinct separation. But here in prokaryotes, the DNA is like spread in the cytoplasm. They are not restricted to region. Well, that is what people thought, until unless you have the advance in technology to study how this like spread of the the genetic material is there. The genetic material is condensed, or they form one structure called as nucleoid, that is the compact bacterial chromosome. If you take the mass of the bacterial cell, around 80% of the mass is the DNA. Okay, so earlier they thought that bacterial chromosome fit randomly within the cells with no reproducible organization. But after the advent of stains which can bind to DNA specifically, there is like a specific region called this nucleoid, which was discovered, that is like a region of the on the bacterial surface, stain, and this region stains in a particular way in a bacteria. So that is what the nucleoid is. So, in an actively growing cell, the nucleoid can occupy half of the cytoplasm, excluding the ribosomes. That means, like if you stain the ribosomes with the antibody, with the immunostaining techniques, you can see that our ribosomes are only in the cytoplasm, and half of the cells is center is occupied by the nucleus. So this spreading in that is the middle portion of the cell, which contains the nucleoid. The way that it is organized in different bacteria is very different. Like uh, this nucleoid is not anchored to the membrane, but in certain situations, in certain bacteria, they are polarized or they are very close to the membrane, or they can be anchored to the membrane. Like in Caulobacter, there are like flagella proteins, the par S, B, and Z, which are like holding the DNA at one end, and the rest of the DNA is free in the cytoplasm. In Vibrio cholerae, the origin region of the larger chromosome is located to the cell poles, whereas the origin of the smaller chromosome is localized in the cell center. In E. coli, it's interesting, the origin region is localized to mid of the cell, and the two replicons are separated in opposite direction. Or in case of bacillus, this nucleoid which contains the DNA can be attached to some proteins, as in sporulation the negative strands can be attached, and that can help the replication. So, as the techniques of extracting DNA advanced, mild lysis techniques where you have the removing of the outer membrane and the cell wall, and you have slow diffusion of the nucleoid, that is the DNA, people came up with the Rossetti model where you have the central core which constitutes the proteins and the RNA, and then you have the other finger like projections which are coming out of this core, and those are like the supercoiled DNA which are like have attached to the central core. So this was the model which was given for organization of the nucleoid. This nucleoid structure has an interesting features, like which part the core consists of the RNA and DNA complex. Okay, so this the other fibers like projections which come out of the core are containing the specific domains which are like active at certain time, which are inactive at certain times, and then these domains are actively moving inside the core, so that when they are active they produce the transcripts, and once they are inactive they are like silenced by protein complexes. So they are, this whole structure is very dynamic. So there are domains on the sorry, on the bacterial chromosome. These domains are very well organized. So for example, in case of E. coli cell, there are four domains called as origin region, ter region, and left region, and right region. And these domains, these four domains are very well characterized, and they are like discrete structural domains. And you have two non-structural domains which do not form any structural like orientation, but they are present beside beside on each side of the ori macro domain. So what is the function of these domains? These domains, they have binding of some cells, special regulators of cell cycle like SEC-A, SLMA, and MAT proteins. One protein I'll explain in detail. The MAT proteins are very interesting because they bind to TER macrodomain, and they are like, they recognize MAT sequence which are like 13 base pair sites. They form like homodimers, and these homodimers can attached in a random of like 800 base pair. They can have multiple recognition sites, and these can fold together, forming a homodimer attached to one more homodimer, and they form a compact structure. So suppose you mutate this MATP protein and then try to see what is the effect on the chromosome segregation and terminal resolution might be a problem when you have the replication happening. So there might be other proteins also which might bind to the microdomain, and then these are the nucleoid associated proteins which gives the compactness of the chromosome. So these domains bind to specific proteins and they are regulated in the cell cycle. So another important features of the bacterial chromosome is the supercoiling, and association with nuclear associated proteins, and there is a specific structure of proteins which are called as structural maintenance chromosome complex, which bind to the genome and then affect the regulation. So coming to the nuclear associated protein. So one more important point I forgot to mention, when we say this domains, they form around like 400 topologically isolated domain structures at the exponential phase of the bacteria. So these boundaries between these domains and the cytoplasm, or between each domains, are very dynamic, and they that depends on the DNA binding protein and gene expression of the cell at what stage it is. So coming to nucleoid associated protein, the organization of this bacterial chromosome is profoundly influenced by this DNA binding proteins or nuclear associated proteins. And they bring about the dynamics of the protein. There are many proteins which are associated, like you have the histone proteins around which the chromosome is wound. You in bacteria also you have the proteins, but the chromosome is not wound again around them, but they are associated to the chromosome. So now you have the core in which the transcription, all other things, regulation is happening. You have the supercoiled DNA. Now a very important thing which I did not mention is supercoiling. Now the chromosomes, uh, uh, you have the outcoming of the bacterial chromosome, which are like the finger like projections which are come out of the internal core. They form a particular type of supercoiling, that is to say like negative supercoiling. How you can find out negative supercoiling? Because there are specific dyes which can bind to negative supercoiling, or recombinations, specific sites, when you say they are recognized by this resolvase, like the TN3 resolvase can identify this supercoiled region in a particular way, by which you can find this supercoiling. That also helps in organization of bacterial chromosome. Coming back to the nucleoid associated proteins, you have many proteins, like for example HNS, HU, FIS, IH, F are the important protein. HNS is like histone like nucleoid structural protein. It's a 15.5 kilodalton protein that bridges the DNA, bringing two loci separated on the primary sequence level into close physical proximity. The N-terminal region of this protein drives oligomerization, and they are connected by flexible C-terminal linker. They specifically bind to AT-rich region and curve the DNA. So this bridging of the DNA enables the constraint between two negatively supercoil structures. So interestingly, the HNS protein binding site coincide with supercoiling sensitivity promoters. If they dimerize, they do not allow the RNA polymerase have access to the region where they are binding. Hence, they act as regulators of gene expression. Coming to next protein is HU, that is eat unaffected nucleoid protein. This is another small 18 kilodalton protein which is abundant. Around like 30,000 copies you can find of this HU protein, and they coat the bacterial chromosome and then wrap the chromosomal DNA around itself. They are very similar to histone. How do they do? They have two domains, and the alpha and beta domain, and they can form homo or heterodrimer depending on the growth phase of the E. coli. You have the major and minor groove on the DNA. The minor groove is what recognized by the protein, and the proline residue, they bring about specific turn or induce a sharp bend in the DNA, thereby causing specific turns, and they bind. They are not like, they are not specific region specific. They do not recognize a specific a sequence, but they bind to the minor groove and they induce sharp bend in the DNA. And coming to next protein is IHF protein, that is integration host factor protein. This is a very important protein. They also alter the shape and facilitate loop formation in the DNA. And the next protein is FIS protein, that is factor for inversion stimulation protein. They also form homodimers, and they recognize the minor groove, and they bend the DNA by 50 to 90 degrees, and they are very stable and long lived nucleoprotein complex. So the whole this protein binding to the DNA, they impact transcription, replication, and recombination, and also bring about compactness of the chromosomal DNA. There are non-proteinaceous factors like macromolecular crowding in the viscous bacterial cytoplasm may help the compaction, like chromosomal loci generally are subdiffusive, that is viscoelastic cellular environment influence motion and compaction. So the physical property that the chromosome is long polymer can also influence in its organization. So core complex, which contains protein, and the other supercoiled regions which are important, forming topological domain or the supercoiled domains, and around 400 such domains can be identified. Coming to the next structural proteins is the SMC complex, or also called as structural maintenance complex. These are very interesting protein. They are similar to the eukaryotic condensing complex. They function as dynamic nucleoid scaffold in bacteria. They compose 5 domains. Interestingly, they are like linear protein. The N and C terminal cause self folding. So here you can see N terminal region and C terminal region can cause self folding to form a dimer with a head and a hinge region. The center region becomes the hinge region. The in between will form an anti-parallel coiled coil. The two region in between the hinge region and the fusing of N terminal and C terminal region, and these can dimerize, and the dimerization is very interesting because the dimer monomers have ATPase region. So totally they can have 5 region: the Walker A ATP binding motif, or coil region, hinge region, coil region 2, and Walker B ATP motif region. These Walker A and B region are very interesting. They are signature regions which bind to ATP and then further catalyze the dimerization. So in E. coli, the homologue of this protein is MUKB protein. It is interesting because this MUKB protein has further I told you that there is an ATP binding region in the head region, and the hinge region is also very important. The main structural SMC complex protein is the MUKB protein, which has further interaction with the cleansing, or they can bind to other proteins called MUKF and MUKE. These, in an ATP dependent manner, they form a complex. This complex binds in presence of ATP, they dimerize, and that will bind to the DNA in this fashion and then further help in compaction of the DNA. So the whole this Rosetta model is a dynamic structure. The internal core consists of the RNA and DNA complex, which are like the transcriptional region, and the outer region are stabilized by supercoiling. The supercoiling can be negative supercoiling. This negative supercoiling backbone can interact with particular protein, which are called as the nucleoid interaction proteins. We have studied nucleoid interaction proteins and NHU, HU, and then IHF and FIS. These proteins stabilize the supercoil or these finger-like projections which are coming out. Apart from this, you have the structural SMC complex, which will stabilize this whole nucleoid. The DNA can also be demarcated by the non-proteinaceous factors like the viscosity in the bacterial cytoplasm by crowding of macromolecules around this nucleoid. So this whole thing helps in the compaction of the long length DNA polymer into small bacteria. So that was about the bacterial chromosome. If you have a single chromosome like in E. coli, this is a simple model. But when you have this, as I was talking in Vibrio coli, you have chromosome 1 and 2, then the compaction model slightly differs. This is the basic simplest model. Coming to next topic, that is transposable genetic elements. Transposable genetic elements are also called as jumping genes, and then they constitute most of the junk DNA, what was initially thought. Now, this was initially identified by Barbara McClintock in 1944 when she was working on maize. She called it as controlling element, which we now known as AC/DC elements. And for a long time it was not recognized. In 1983, after a long time, she got Nobel Prize for discovering these transposable genetic elements. For a long time, as I told, it was not recognized. When the group of Shibelsky group in 1970, when they started working on insertion sequence of bacteria, they came to know, they rediscovered the work of Barbara McClintock. So the name was transposon was coined by Hedges and Jacob in 1974. Later they found out that all organisms, eukaryotes and prokaryotes, have large number of these transposable genetic elements. Approximately 50% of the human genome is made up of these transposable genetic elements, and 90% of the maize genome is made up of these transposable genetic elements. So here I am mostly concentrating on bacterial transposable genetic elements. So bacteria has this transposon. They can jump from one region of the chromosome to other region, or they can jump from chromosomal DNA to plasmid DNA, and this jumping is done by interesting proteins called as transposase. So the nomenclature was done initially in 1977 by Campbell, where he found it is basically, he started with nomenclating the bacterial prokaryotic transposable elements, which he named as insertion sequence 1, insertion sequence 2, 3, etc. Later, many of the transposable elements were found out that they may contain, apart from this insertion sequence which are simple, they they may contain many other genes or fragments of the host genome. So they started naming as transposable element 1, 2, 3, etc. If they contains any particular gene in bracket, you can represent it as like TN1, transposable element 1 contains ampicillin resistant genes, as in bracket you can write it as AMP-R. So these transposable element, basically by they were identified by inactivation of certain operons, like TN4 is associated with galoperon, so you can write it as galoperon T135, and that is TN4, the chromosomal region where it is inserted, and which transposon is inserted. They can also be represented, I mean named non-standard ways, like delta is an element present in F plasmid. In eukaryote, no specific pattern of naming is of these transposable elements is there. They can be named as copia elements or P elements in case of yeast as TY1, and transposable elements of maize as dissociation elements and activator elements. In bacteria, you have four types of transposable elements. First is insertion sequence, composite transposon, and third one, what I have given example, TN3 transposon, or always it is called as non-composite transposon, and the fourth is transposable phage. First, coming to before going to the each insertion element, little talk about how this jumping happens. The jumping can is like on the basis of their transposition mechanism. Transposon may be categorized into following two types. That is, the first type where you have cut and paste transposon, where you have one donor DNA and the recipient DNA. The donor DNA contains the transposable element. Recipient DNA is where the sequence is recognized by this enzyme which catalyzes the transposable element, and the donor DNA transposon is cut and pasted to the recipient DNA. How does that happen? This, sorry. The donor DNA has the insertion sequence, and that is giving out an enzyme called as okay. Example of this cut and paste mechanism is the insertion elements of bacteria, P elements of maize, and hobo elements in Drosophila, and etc. There are many using this cut and paste mechanism, and the region of this transposon contains an enzyme coding sequence which codes an enzyme which catalyzes this cut and paste mechanism. The enzyme is transposase enzyme. The region of the donor DNA is recognized by this transposase enzyme. Each side of the ends of the transposon are bound by this transposase enzyme, and they form a loop by coming this two transposase enzyme together, and they pinch off this DNA which contains the transposon, and these transposons are recognize the sequence on the recipient DNA, and they fuse this looped DNA from the donor DNA into the recipient DNA. Yeah, other model is the replicative model, where you, for example, the TN3 element can also follow the replicative model, where you have the donor DNA which contains the transposable element. A replica of that is made and inserted into the recipient DNA. This is interesting because you have the crossover and theta model formation, which we further see in the example. So first I will take the insertion element. The insertion elements are interesting because they are also called as molecular parasites in bacterial cells. If they are higher, there is more rate of transposition, and they also cause mutation. Suppose insertion elements are present in bacteria and the bacterial cells are dividing, it can be possible like one insertion element is present in 105 to 107 cells per generation. A single E. coli genome may contain about 20 insertion elements. Examples are like insertion element 1, insertion element 186 can be present within 50 kilobase pair segment of E. coli. Insertion element transpose either replicatively or conservatively. Before going to that, the structure of the insertion element has this direction of the arrow here represent the orientation, whether they are direct repeats or inverted repeats. The insertion elements basically is this colored region inside the it contains around 50 base pair, or for example 10 to 40 base pairs of inverted terminal repeat and internal protein coding region. This is the simplest form of transposable elements because the protein coding region codes for only transposase enzyme, and you have the flanking of inverted terminal repeats, and they get inserted into a region called that will generate this direct repeats, and that is ranging from 5 to 11 base pairs. And what is the number of this direct repeats is characteristics of the insertion element. So if you take this insertion elements and then denature and renature, they form a characteristic loop like structure, and they replicate either conservatively or replicatively. Conservatively, why we are, it is also a cut and paste mechanism, but the regions or the sequence where this transposition happen is very conserved, so it is called as conserved transposition. This case of conserved transposition is quite similar to the integration of Phage lambda into E. coli chromosome. In such transposon, the transposase belong to lambda integrase family, where large transposons utilize the conservative mechanism of transposition. So you have the, for example, this insertion sequence 1, it is like around 768 base pairs. You have the 1 to 23 base pair inverted repeats, and then you have the target host DNA. The region on the target host DNA is very specific, and then you have duplication of this target host sequence, and then insertion of this transfer IS element into the host into the recipient DNA. So the donor DNA will be like lost this sequence and then inserted into recipient DNA, which forms this structure. Examples of insertion elements are insertion element 1, 2, 3 in E. coli chromosome, which at the average length of this insertion element is around 1000 base pairs, and it can have multiple copies. Like insertion element 2 can range from 1 to 13 copies, insertion element 4 can range from as low as 1 to 2 copies, and these elements can also be present in other transposon, like for example TN10 contains insertion element 10, which are like inverted repeats at both the ends of this TN10. Also, the range can be as low as 201 base pairs. It can be inverted repeats. There, the number of this inverted repeats, how many base pairs it is characteristics of each insertional element. Coming to the second type, that is the composite transposon. So these bacteria contains composite mobile genetic elements that are larger than insertional elements and contains one or more protein coding genes inside this transposon. So composite transposon are basically the pair of insertional element flanking a segment of DNA, usually contain one or more genes, often coding for antibiotic resistance. Okay, this is the structure of the composite transposon, where you have the central antibiotic resistant gene flanked by insertion sequence. This insertion sequence can be a direct repeat or indirect repeat. Examples are where you have TN9, where the insertion sequence 1 is there on either side, which is direct repeat. Inside will be the antibiotic resistant. TN5 and TN10, where you have the inverted insertion sequence repeat, where inside you have the antibiotic resistant gene. We'll take one example, that is TN10, where you have the inverted repeats on either side, and inside will be the tetracycline resistance. In case of TN10, it is tetracycline resistance. It will recognize a particular sequence like this: N, G, C, T, N, A. N can be any base. So this sequence is recognized. For example, if it is there in the plasmid, and then in from the chromosome that is jumping to the plasmid, it will the enzyme transposase will recognize this sequence and then carry out this integration at the integration site. The transposon integrates into the plasmid. From the plasmid, if it has to jump, it can follow two mechanisms where it can transposase its own transposon, or it can carry the plasmid genes also. So when the transposition, like the most active, there are two insertional element, the left insertional element and right insertional element. The right insertional element is most active than the left insertional element. So the right insertional element contains two promoters, the in promoter and the out promoter. The in promoter, when it is like transcribed, you have the transposase enzyme which is produced. The out promoter, which if it is transcribed, then you have the host GNA, host genes which are transcribed, and there is a overlapping sequence of two of the two promoters, that is 40 base pairs. When there is overlapping of the two RNAs, then there is no translation, thereby regulating its own transposase gene. And also when the transposase recognizes this outer transposition, they carry out the transposition from right to the left in the opposite direction, thereby carrying the host genes which are present in between these two transposon regions. So the next family is non-composite family, or the TNA family. TNA family, apart from TN3, you have TN100 also. There are many examples of TNA family. They are large transposable element consisting about 5 kilo base pairs of segments. They are devoid of insertional elements but carry genes which are required for transposition, along with genes for resistance of antibiotics such as ampicillin. The terminal sequence, they carry some regions of terminal sequence which are 38 base pairs in long, and they form inverted repeats. So for example, TN3, you have three proteins which are synthesized, that is the transposase enzyme coded by TNP segment, and you have resolvase. TN3 resolvase is also called as a repressor of this transposition, and that is coded by TNPR, and also a gene, that is antibiotic resistance gene, BLA gene. So it also contains an internal resolution site which is important for resolvase action. Now the transposition of TN3 is by replicative mechanism. Suppose you have two DNA. Here for simplification I have taken two plasmids. One is the transposon containing TN3 containing plasmid, and another is the target plasmid where this shifting can happen of the transposon. Once the transposase enzyme is produced, the transposase enzyme recognize a 25 base stretch out of the 38 bases inverted terminal repeats of the TN3, and this enzyme makes a staggered cleavage of 5 base pairs at the target DNA. So once this target DNA is made staggered, the same staggered basis is made in the recipient DNA or the target DNA, and both the edges are joined, forming a theta-like structure or a crossover-like structure. Once both the edges are joined, there is no cut and paste, but there is replication of the DNA at the site, and you have the filling of the base pair. Now you can see the staggered cut at the AB junction and CD junction, and staggered cut in the target sequence EF and GH, the way it is joined. Now A is joined to F and G is joined to D. Thereby the ends are free, the 5' ends, which can be like filled by replication enzymes. And then once the replication is complete, then you have this circular DNA where the sorry internal resolution sites are recognized by resolvase enzyme, and the cut is made, and you have the two transposable element 3 containing a section of the DNA. This is a replicative model of TN3 transposition. The next bacterial transposon is like where you have the transposable phage. The most popular phage is the mu phage. Transposable phages are the bacterial phages which transpose replicatively as a part of their normal infectious cycle. They integrate into the E. coli chromosome at regulatory element. So this is like a 37.6 exactly kilobase pair phage. It is mu phage, which has the terminal inverted terminal repeats at both the ends. Inside of this inverted terminal repeats are at L and at R regions on the mu phage, and inside of that you contain the structural and non-structural elements which are required for phage replication. So the transfer of this mu phage can be mu phage to E. coli chromosome, from E. coli chromosome region to one more E. coli chromosome region. When you have mu phage to the E. coli chromosome, it is cut and paste mechanism. But when you have the internal shift, or when the chromosome is replicating, you have the replicative mechanism. So it follow both cut and paste mechanism and replicative mechanism. The bacterial mu is very large and is regarded as a giant mutator. The TN element, it possesses a number of genes for its head and tail formation. This transposon has the ability to insert into E. coli chromosome at a different non-homologous position. The enzyme mu transposase cuts both the end of the transposon from the donor molecule. A staggered cleavage of 5 bases occurs at the target site of insertion. Mu utilizes both replicative and non-replicative pathway of transposition. Its integration into host genome occurs through the non-replicative process, while the multiplication of mu occurs through the replicative mechanism. The new mu transposition can produce 100 copy of its transposition to 100 different target sites in single E. coli chromosome. The mu transposition recognizes the terminal sequence and makes staggered cleavage at the end of the mu and also on the target chromosomal site. So it is starting will be, if you have one donor molecule and recipient site, you have the staggered cut and you have crossover formation. The crossover can be replicative, where you have the resolvase resolving this theta like structure, or it can be the repair enzyme recognizing this theta like structure, and you have a cut at this junction, and then you have the recipient DNA receiving the mu transposon, and then you have the donor DNA deficient of the mu transposon. So this transposition may affect the transposons may bring about change in host DNA, as they may cause deletion, duplication, or inversion when a copy of transposition is mobilized and inserted into the chromosome near its original site, or recombination may occur between two copies. So in the transposable genetic elements, what I have given is how the nomenclature of the transposable elements are done, and then only bacterial transposable elements I have explained. In that, four transposable elements I have explained. First is the simplest is the insertional element. Insertional element are the simplest form. They contain inverted terminal repeats at the end, and the simple transposase enzyme which is coded by the insertional element. And this transposase enzyme carried out the transposition by conservative method or a replicative method. And the second group is the composite transposon. Composite transposon contains the insertional element at the end, which can be inverted or direct repeats, and in between it contains gene for transposition, that is the transposase gene, and also other host gene like antibiotic resistance gene, which are carried out, and then the transposition can be replicative mechanism. And coming to non-composite, one of the example is the third category is non-composite. The example what I have given is the TN3 elements. In this TN3 element, you have the transposase gene and the other structural genes which are important, that is not structural gene, resistance gene. Along with that, two important genes, the transposase gene and the resolvase gene. You have the replicative mechanism which is followed by transposase transposition of this TN3. And the fourth type of transposable genetic elements is the bacteriophage containing elements, which example is mu bacteriophage, which has the terminal repeats of at L and at R, which are recognized by transposase enzyme, and they can have a cut and paste mechanism of transposition or a replicative mechanism of transposition. They usually replicate inside the chromosome by a replicative mechanism.